Welcome once again to The Sage. Thank you for being with us. Last week we had an amazing discussion. I hope you watched it. If you didn't, please go to our YouTube, displayed on the screen, and view it. It's well worth watching. We started a discussion with an amazing young lady, Mrs. Ngozi Rowland Onuegwunwoke. Did I forget Sarah? Who we were very, very proud to know and claim and accept is a C4C fellow. In fact, the foundation fellow of the program, but who has made amazing strides. And last week, we shared her bio, but we also asked her to share the journey. What got her into it? How did she get into it? It was an enthralling story, but we had to stop because of time. But we thank God that we still can continue. And so today, from where we stopped, you had been telling us about the foundation the C4C had provided that launched you into your business life, so to say. Please continue.
So my experience with C4C, like I said earlier, it's a foundation that has launched me into the deep. It built my capacity, it built my understanding, it made me appreciate the power of networking. So what I did as a business owner was I started looking for business networks I could join, to learn more, to of course have more access to market. Because for me, when I see people, I see money. So I don't believe...
I like that. I think we should put that down as a wordy saying. When I see people, I see money.
Because I'm calculating, okay, if this number of persons buy my product, you're going to be rich, So I keep telling entrepreneurs, you can't say you are introverted and you say you're an entrepreneur. So if you are introverted, please extrovert yourself because you have to make money. It's not ghosts and spirits that will buy your market. It's human beings, So I started joining network. I started applying for grants. That was how I came in contact with the African food chain makers. Before, it used to be known as Nourishing Africa. I applied for grants. I learned more, And even though the grant was cancelled after a while, they had some issues with MasterCard and stuff. But I got more teachings on the capacity. Then I had built a network. And over time, they started creating more access to market for us, like sending us on exhibitions, organizing programs where we can display our products, where we can get people to see what we do and stuff like that. So in one of the exhibitions that was held in NAF, I think that was 2020, I can't remember, I think 2021 thereabout, in the course of displaying my products.
What is NAF again?
It's a hotel in
I see.
In Jahi district. So while I was displaying my products, in fact, one of the things that gave me was exposure, because when I went there, that was even when I started understanding that there are people that are sponsored by companies like GIZ, German Corporation and all that. It was a new experience for me. I was like, okay, so I can actually do business, and other people are sponsoring my production process and all of that. So I said, okay, I made myself available. And then while I was exhibiting, a man came to my stand and he said, tell me about your business. And in a few minutes, I was able to pitch my business. And he was impressed. He said, okay, these are the kind of things we want to support and stuff like that. And then somebody told me, collect his contact, I said, okay, can I have your complimentary card, please? And then when I looked at it, I was like, wow, director of games. I was like, whoa, wow, that's huge, And so he introduced me to SBN, which is like the business angle of gains. And I picked it up from there. What I always tell every entrepreneur, success is a deliberate and a conscious effort. If you have that network and you're not doing anything with it, it would not be useful for you.
Success, say that again.
It's a deliberate and a conscious effort.
Beautiful.
You have to be ready to pay the price. You can have networks and you're not active in it, you can't get the benefit from such networks. So it's not enough to just join networks, but you have to be active, you have to participate, you have to contribute, and you have to also give gifts. That's one of the secrets of my success story.
You have to be thinking.
Yes.
Seeing opportunities.
Exactly.
Using them.
Exactly. So in giving gifts, you give people the opportunity to have a feel of what you do at no expense to them. So it's something that has really worked for me. It's also a strategy I use and I teach everybody I've mentored and all that. So with the activity, I said when it was time for them to start raising ambassadors, I was nominated as an ambassador for the AFC. And just a few days ago, I was now appointed a regional ambassador for the African Food Change Makers. And the SBN, when I joined the SBN too, they were looking for executives because they wanted to start working in regions as well. So
SBN is
the Scaling Up Nutrition Business Network. Yeah. So it was like an election. So we had to, we're like, oh, you can. I'm like, I campaign. This is not politics now, But as God would have it, at the end of the day, I came out the deputy hub lead for North Central. And it's been an amazing journey. SBN is into nutritious food. They promote nutritious food. They're about making this food available to the lowest of the low. So they're making affordability is key. First, it has to be nutrition products, fortified foods and stuff like that, and they must be affordable to the minimal person in the environment. So you see that these networks also started exposing me. They started creating more exposure for my brand. And before this, after C4C, we had a forum, just me and a few friends. It was actually a baby shower of a friend's wife, which I organized. And while we're doing the baby shower, I'm all about business. I really don't have time for, so I'm all about impacting. I want to share my experience so that you learn something from what I've been through. And I started talking about business. And when I started talking, I noticed everybody kept quiet and they were just listening. So I started talking to you. I said, this is my journey so far. This is how I've been able to get help. This is how I've been able to, scale through and all that. Everybody kept it. After talking for like an hour, I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, it's a baby shower. I hope. They were like, no, continue. We are enjoying it. I was like, okay. So I went back. I'm like, okay, that means I have something to offer. So I have something that people want to listen to, And that was how we started the Brandpreneur Mentorship Foundation that same day. Brandpreneur Mentorship Foundation. So it's a business group of entrepreneurs and intending entrepreneurs. We come together, we share ideas, we create access to market, access to finance, access to capacity building and all that. And since 2019 we started, we've trained over 560 women in different skills, we do skill acquisitions and all that. It's just to empower. I believe so much in empowering a woman. If you empower a woman, you empower a generation. So for me, every woman has to find something to do, at least to support the husband so that one doesn't die quick, with the economy and all that. So that was how I started joining these networks. I started applying for international grants. I got one with the Coca-Cola Foundation, and it's been an amazing journey. And then the inflation thing started. The past 3 years has been amazing. It's been amazing. But in my journey, I've been able to raise people. And people like you, for me, are my accountability partners. When I look at people like you, I can't afford to give up. When I look at the destinies that are tied to mine, I can't afford to give up. So for every challenge, before it occurs, I sit down, I think a lot. I like my space. Most times I just take hours. I am thinking, I am dissecting, okay, what is the potential risk? Okay, I'm actually a risk manager, a certified risk manager. So I think ahead, like what are the potential risks that could come in my business that would shake me? And how do I overcome it? So I try to anticipate these things, create solutions so that when they come, it's not so much of a hurdle for me. It's easy for me to cross, because I keep telling myself, Ngozi, you have a lot of destinies tied to yours that you cannot afford to give up. Because if you give up today, a lot of businesses will give up. So what will you tell your maker when you go to meet him, So that's the voice that's the word I keep telling myself. So it gives me the energy. That's what makes me wake up every morning, that I have to succeed in what I'm doing because a lot of destinies are tied to mine.
Hold that. That's pure gold.
Yeah.
And I want to build on that for you to continue. I'm also somebody who believes in destiny. And as an earlier part of the program, as I was introducing you, I had talked about the fact that for us in C4C, our entrepreneurship program is a God-given mission. And that when God gives you a mission, He gives you resources to deal with the mission. And that for us, you were a God-given fellow. You know, in that first set, He knew we were going to need support, you know. And so it is divine. And then by sheer coincidence, you use the same words yourself. That C4C was for you a divine intervention. And now C4C is saying to you, you were also and continue to be our own divine intervention. So that together we do the work that needs to be done. In that same way, we say to ourselves in C4C, if we give up, what will happen? There's so many people that hold us, hoping that we will support them. We therefore have a great deal of accountability to live up to. And so these things resonate. And it's an amazing testimony to the fact that these things are not because we plan so well, but they're God incidences. They're God, you know, divine activities.
Because after my accident, I felt God gave me a second chance to touch lives. So wherever I find myself, whatever opportunity I get, I make sure I impact. So I meet you, there's something you have to remember me for when I leave you. So I'm not just there to occupy space and time and whatever, but I want to put, you know, and then having such training from C4C for me was, okay, you can impact something. At least everybody needs money in Nigeria, you know, because we have bills are rising, you know. So with the challenge of the inflation, the hike in raw materials and stuff, you know, I thought to myself, oh, I forgot to mention, C4C gave me my first dehydrator. That was amazing. It was a big deal, like, I was like, you know, it was a bragging right for me. Like, you know, I couldn't afford a dehydrator the normal day, but with that one, I was like, yeah, I have a dehydrator. So, yeah, I can produce more. My capacity can increase and all of that, you know. So, the challenge came. Hike in raw material, which is still ongoing, you know. So, but like I usually do, I think I anticipate, and I started asking myself, I said, okay, the funding, the sales are not as fantastic as it used to. So of course the profit margin has dropped because you buy something today, you go tomorrow, a day is a lot of difference in the cost of raw material and stuff, you know. So I told myself, I sat down and I talked to myself, I said, what else can you do using the equipment you already have? Because at that stage, I couldn't afford to even go and get anything new. So I started thinking of other things I could do using what I already had. And that is why I preach diversification as a way to mitigate the current economic situation in the country. And as usual, I like to experiment. I started experimenting. You know, I started with dehydrating vegetable. I started with dehydrating fruits. And in the course of it, I was able to identify, if I had to even cut down, because I started, okay, from the first spices, when I came for the interview, I had over 21 spices, I had 5 tea variants, I have 5 granola variants, I had date powder, so there were lots of material, products yet. So I told myself, I said, you know what, I need to bring it down to the basic bestsellers and then look for what I can diversify my funds into that can bring in more income for me. And when I started the dehydration of fruits and stuff, I started export. Okay, before then I already started export. Of course, during the COVID, like I said, that was when I started my distributorship program. So I had distributors in 36 states. I had distributors in the US, in UK, in Germany, and some countries. And business was fantastic until the reality that we are in set in. So I started experimenting on vegetables as well, because I was like, okay, when I travel out of the country, I do these things for myself. And I'm like, why can't you convert it to, you're not the only person that wants to travel or that is traveling. You know, I got sales for a period, and then I decided to venture into the fruits, because, you know, the only thing you need is more money. The only thing you don't get tired of is more money, you know. And bills are, of course, increasing. You have to support some people, family is there, and stuff like that. So I started the fruit dehydration, and boom, I hit my goal.
Wow.
The dehydrated pineapple flakes. I would say in the past 1 year, the major income for my business comes from the dehydrated pineapple flakes, because people are tired, they want to snack, but they want a healthy snacking. They want something to just, you just sit in the house at times, you just want to choose something, and it's something that can be used for parfait, you can grind it for your smoothie. So it had a multi-purpose use. And I said, when I went to, I shared it with a couple of people. I did some branding. I went to Nexim, it was sold out. Anywhere I go to, it sold out. I'm like, I was in this thing, but in the course of production, I got better, because I wanted the crispy. I wanted it to last so that I can export. So I wanted it to last for a duration, because even if you get it crispy initially, it becomes sticky after a while. So I had to experiment and all that until I got what I wanted, and that was a major seller for me.
Again, let me hold you there. Major seller, you will continue from there. But I wanted to underscore certain things in what you have said. We sit here telling this story, not because we just want to chat and tell stories in front of our audience, but because those things, when I introduced this series about flexibility, innovation, hard work, persistence, and so on, which I also laid claim to the fact that our young entrepreneurs are more likely to do so, is beautifully brought to life by the story you're telling. You see, if you were a 60, 70-year-old entrepreneur, you would probably fold your hand and say, this inflation, I give up, I can't do anymore. But you don't. Because you're a well-trained professional young entrepreneur, quick to begin to think, since my spices are not good. I mean, if you're hungry, you can't put food on your table, you're not going to be looking for spices. So you were naturally hit from distribution in how many states and so on. You were suddenly witnessing a big slum in your business, but you turned the challenge into an opportunity. You diversified, thought about, how do I use my equipment now? You began to dehydrate. You now found another bestseller in fruits, and so on and so forth. So I underscore that, because these are what we talk about. These are important lessons.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing them with us.
Thank you so much, Mom. And in doing all this, I decided to be open. The truth is, there's a lot of rooms in the top. And we need to start understanding that competition is a long gone thing. We are preaching collaborations, because when I started entering networks, I registered with the WASIMA. I started getting international recognitions and all that. I started understanding that if this export business must go, I can't do it alone. So that's when we started creating clusters. Because if, for instance, I get an order of 10,000 tons, how do I satisfy that order? So when you create clusters, you create people, you bring people with similar ideas together, you see how you can produce these things as a group. You bring your quota, we bring it together, and we meet the exports requests that we have. So that was when we said, okay, within the Brandpreneur Mentorship Foundation, we had different businesses. So I said, okay, since there are different businesses, can we create clusters in your business field? Which was one of the things the Women Chamber of Commerce and Industry opened my eyes into, because of course we have women from agriculture, from mines, and industries and stuff. So we started creating clusters even within the Brandpreneur Mentorship Foundation, and that was when I registered as a member for the WASIMA. And in registering for that, I think Women Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mines and Agriculture. So I registered with them, and it was a change breaker for me, because it launched me into another deep. So because the government of this day, what they want to do is work with clusters. They don't want to work with individual businesses. So you see them talking about, we want to work with clusters, because they believe if they work with clusters, they will have the capacity to reach a larger number of people. Yeah, so there's a greater impact and all that. So we came together as a cluster, and under WASIMA, we're able to get some grants from the UNDP. And of course, more of that will show in our videos and all that I will show later. So it's been a wonderful journey, and we are not afraid. Even if you're in the public, you want to learn, come, we'll teach you. All we are doing is how do we make our country better? How do we stop importation and look towards export? So now the inflation is high and everything. Yes, why don't we bring that dollar home? So we are open to trainings. Every month we train at least 20 women from the communities on agro-processing using their localized produce. What they produce in their district. We teach them how to add value to what they are producing so that they can make more money. And of course, everybody goes home happy.
Ngozi, thank you so much. This is a beautiful place to again take a pause. I will call it a pause because we will continue in the next episode where we landed. We landed on the issue of clusters. We landed on the issue of Wasima. To my audience, to our audience, I say, don't miss next week because you're going to hear more about Wasima. You will meet our next guest, who is indeed a key figure within Wasima, and the story will continue to unfold. We thank you for having been with us. We thank you for sharing our excitement because it's an exciting journey. But most of all, it is a journey of hope. This is the way forward. Lessons here can be used by so many of our people, particularly young people, so that they make a life and a business for themselves so that we improve the economy of our country. Be with us next week when Ngozi will still be here, but we shall have a very exciting and important guest from Wasima join us. I thank you all. See you.